That night, I learned that silence can be louder than words, and that the smallest movement can change everything you thought you knew about love. I never thought a quiet night on the couch could break a heart. Not the kind of night filled with yelling or tears or slammed doors, but the kind that felt ordinary, harmless, until it wasn't. His name was Daniel. My husband. The man I thought I knew better than myself. We'd been married for 6 years. 6 long, ordinary, comfortable years. The kind of marriage that outsiders described as stable, peaceful, solid. But behind those polite words was something much more dangerous: stillness. We had stopped talking about anything that mattered. Our lives had become a rhythm of habits. Wake up. Work. Dinner. Silence. Sleep. I used to tell myself that's just what marriage becomes after time, that it's normal for the butterflies to die. But I never realized that sometimes, in the silence, things rot quietly. That evening was like any other. The rain was tapping softly on the window. The TV flickered with light that painted his face in blue and gold. He sat next to me, not too close, not too far, just enough for me to feel that familiar distance between us. He laughed lightly at something on the screen. I smiled, pretending to follow along. But my thoughts were elsewhere, on the unpaid bills, on the laundry I hadn't done, on the text I got earlier from my friend Mia. "Are you okay? You haven't sounded like yourself lately." I hadn't answered, because I didn't know what myself even meant anymore. Then it happened. A simple, unthinking moment. His hand, resting between us, slipped. Just a small motion. But my whole body froze, because where it landed wasn't random. And for a split second, the air in the room changed. He pulled his hand back quickly, almost too quickly, as if he hadn't realized what he'd done. But in that tiny moment, I saw something in his eyes. Something guilty. Something I couldn't unsee. He looked away. The TV's laughter filled the silence. And I sat there, heart pounding, trying to breathe. It wasn't the touch that broke me. It was the truth behind it, the quiet confirmation of a distance I'd been pretending didn't exist. The next morning, I couldn't stop replaying the moment. Every detail, the way he laughed after, the way he avoided eye contact, the faint smell of someone else's perfume that lingered on his shirt. I wanted to believe it was mine, but it wasn't. My hands trembled as I poured coffee. He came downstairs, tie half done, humming like nothing had happened. "Morning," he said, kissing the top of my head. That kiss, it used to make me feel safe. Now it felt like a lie pressed against my skin. "Morning," I whispered back. But my voice cracked in a way he didn't notice. Days passed. The silence between us grew heavy again, but now it wasn't peaceful. It was suffocating. I began to notice everything. The late-night messages he claimed were work-related. The sudden need for privacy with his phone. The way he started dressing better for meetings. And that look in his eyes, the one that said he was somewhere else, with someone else. Every clue was a whisper I didn't want to hear. But together, they screamed. Then one evening, while he was in the shower, his phone buzzed on the couch. Normally, I wouldn't touch it. I hated the idea of snooping. But something deep inside me, that trembling instinct that every woman recognizes, pushed me. I picked it up. And there it was. A message from a name I didn't know. "Last night was unforgettable. I can still smell your cologne on my pillow." My knees went weak. My throat tightened. And for a moment, the world blurred. I dropped the phone, and my reflection in the dark TV screen stared back at me, hollow, shaking, betrayed. He came out moments later, towel around his waist, humming that same stupid tune. When he saw my face, he froze. I didn't have to say anything. He knew. That night, we didn't argue. We didn't scream. We just sat in silence. The same couch, the same TV, but a completely different world. He tried to explain. He said it just happened, that it meant nothing, that he still loved me. But the thing about betrayal is, it doesn't need to mean something to destroy everything. He told me he was lonely, that I'd become distant. I wanted to yell that he was the one who left first, not physically, but emotionally. He had been gone long before his body followed his heart. But I couldn't speak. I just stared at him, remembering that tiny moment when his hand slipped, the one that told me everything before I had the proof. Weeks went by. We tried to fix things: therapy, dinners, forced laughter. But once a mirror is cracked, every reflection after that carries the fracture. One night, he asked me if I could ever forgive him. I looked at him, at the man I once trusted with my whole heart, and realized I already had, but not in the way he wanted. I forgave him because I needed to let go of the poison. But I couldn't love him the same again. Something inside me had closed, quietly, firmly, permanently. Months later, I moved out. It wasn't dramatic. No shouting. Just a quiet packing of boxes, one piece of memory at a time. As I left the house, I turned to look at the couch, the place where everything had broken without a sound. It sat there, still and ordinary, just like that night. And I realized something. It was never the act that destroyed me. It was the moment I stopped recognizing the person sitting beside me. That night, when his hand slipped. It wasn't just his hand. It was the truth slipping out, uninvited, undeniable. Healing wasn't easy. There were days I woke up missing him, not the man he became, but the man I thought he was. There were nights I blamed myself, wondering if I'd been enough, if my silence had pushed him away. But slowly, I learned something powerful. Infidelity isn't always about someone else being better. Sometimes it's about the person who betrayed you not knowing who they are anymore. Daniel wasn't searching for another woman. He was searching for the version of himself that felt alive again, the one he lost somewhere between routine and regret. And I was just collateral damage in his confusion. But pain, as cruel as it is, can be a teacher. It taught me boundaries. It taught me self-worth. And it taught me that love without respect is just attachment disguised as comfort. A year later, I saw him again by accident. We were in a cafe, the kind of place we used to love. He looked older, tired, haunted by choices he couldn't undo. He smiled, and for a moment, I almost smiled back. But I realized I didn't feel anger anymore. I didn't feel pain either. Just peace. He was part of my story, a painful chapter, yes, but not the ending. I paid for my coffee, stood up, and walked away. As I stepped outside, the rain began again, soft and familiar, like the night it all started. But this time, it didn't feel heavy. It felt cleansing. Because sometimes, the hardest part of letting go isn't walking away from the person, it's walking away from the version of yourself that needed them to feel whole. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. Broken heart. Have you ever experienced a moment that changed everything in silence? Your story might help someone heal today. This is Woman Stories 8, where every broken heart finds its voice again.